The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
If your friends are nerdy and you are nerdy too, I want to talk to you. Friends talking nerdy.
And he's like, why? And I was like, I mean, if you are, it's cool. I just found out about it. Like, I'm not. But, like, you're my friend. And I want you to be comfortable with who you are. And he came out to me. And I was blown away. Because not only was, like, he the first real person I met that was, but he was the only person in my town that I knew who was gay, you know? And you have, like, characters in books, and you have characters in TV, and, you know, you have more public people coming out and making it more and more comfortable for people to be out.
Not only that, take my favorite comic book, Miss Marvel, with Kamala Khan, 15-year-old Pakistani-American young girl. Thanks to the Terrigen Mist from the Inhumans, she gets the powers of Miss Marvel, and she becomes Miss Marvel. And the wonderful, amazing thing about the entire series is that even though it is about a Pakistani-American young girl and about her family and about how religion, her Islamic religion plays a big part in her life, it is not beating you over the head with it. To your point,
it was so well written.
It opens the doors to kind of see into a different world you wouldn't normally see, and that's important. That's the beauty of what this type of entertainment can do, because it's not beating you over the head like an after-school special. It's just saying, this is their life. Enjoy.
I remember you were at the store, and we get a lot of people coming through the door who are every ethnicity, and you were talking about this to just a random girl. And
we had this great conversation because she was Islamic as well, and it was in the middle of 2016, so the election was just hitting its unfortunate peak, and she was talking about the importance of her personal self-discovery about wanting to wear the hijab, and about how her parents tried to talk her out of it, just, we'd rather you be safe, and she was like, no, I'm going to do that. And to me, I mean, she was a hero, and then I introduced her to Miss Marvel. So,
I thought that was the coolest thing. She lit up. I was just watching that whole interaction happening from the side, and that was the coolest thing ever. Mm-hmm. Because you have probably this girl who has never experienced the world of comic books at all. Then not only is she exposed to this world, but she has someone that she can identify with, someone she can relate to, and then it just opens up this world.
And I think ultimately it does what this type of work can do best of all. It makes people feel welcome. I think to both of your points, from what you mentioned with anime and whatnot, you were able to relate to it. You connected to it. And even though I don't care for anime, I definitely understand that. I mean, growing up watching Star Trek, watching Star Wars, action movies, James Bond movies, I get that feeling, and that's at its best what it can do. It's just when people take that and twist it, it's just like, fuck you.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. One of my favorites, and I was kind of like poo-pooing it when it came out, and I was just, you know what, it's got to be its own thing. But there was a manga, like the physical comic, and then an anime of X-Men. And it was like introduced to Japanese culture in like the mainstream, and it became a series, and it was really, really like cool to see that, because I just see it as an alternate universe, like it's not 616, it's not whatever, it's not the Ultimate Universe, it's its own universe, and I liked how they portrayed it. The art was really good. I love everything Japanese. I love anime, manga. Manga probably got me through high school, honestly. the fascination with Japanese culture and Wolverine, though, like, it's so weird to me. Because, like, I have no idea why he's so popular, but he is very popular. And it just makes me laugh. It may
be, I mean, because I know they have obsessions with the West, and I think with the Wolverine character, his appearance is a typical Western, you know, Caucasian male type appearance, so maybe that's why they go for it.
Yeah. But, I mean, swords out of your hands, that's also really cool. I mean...
And his hair's
it's also a pickup
cool.
line.
Yeah.
His hair's super nice.
It's really funny because they had like they had a movie and it was like Iron Man, Black Panther, and like Wolverine and like Black Widow, and like Wolverine's hair is like crazy, and it was super funny to see. Oh yeah, computer noise.
Hi, computer.
Hello, Tim.
All right, so Rose City Comic Con coming up this year. Either of you going?
I have stepped away from cons in general. I went to PAX last year, and that was pretty awesome. Which is like
so pissed I missed the boat on that.
It was indie video games. It's really hard to get tickets.
Yeah,
really hard to get tickets.
They post it for like
10 minutes.
Second.
Yeah, no.
And everyone's just like, boop.
I found out, like, after trying to buy tickets for the first time, like, people write scripts and, like, have these bots to buy tickets. Yeah. Ew. And I'm just like, what?
Human garbage. That's all.
Well, I mean, like, you get really smart people who like these particular things, and, I mean, you can't fault them for using their brain to, like, do something.
But that's preventing other people from getting something just as well. I mean, they're cheating. They're cheating.
I would say...
They're douchebags.
They're bending the rules. I wouldn't say they're cheating, because there are things like CAPTCHAs to make sure you're not a robot and things like that. And there's stuff that you have to get past to do that. And they can write really good scripts to get past that, which is crazy. But that was, again... open my world to this thing where people are like, I'm gonna buy all the tickets, and I'm like, bro, I just want one ticket.
Yeah.
And they're like,
give me my one.
Yeah.
Got one for $700 right here.
Yeah. So I was able to get mine for, I got Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was $120. That was pretty awesome. I think it was maybe a little bit more. I can't remember. I was just so like, oh my gosh, it was so much fun. If anybody's not familiar with PAX, it's Penny Arcade Expo. There's a really great website called Penny Arcade. They have a hilarious online web comic, super duper funny, based around video games, Dungeons and Dragons, things like that, and so goddamn funny. And then these two guys, a few years ago, they put on their own convention. It's focused around indie developers for video games, and I had a blast. I wish I could have gone this year. I didn't have the dinero to do it, but I had a blast when I went.
Yeah,
I'm probably not gonna go to the Comic-Cons. I'm not really into comics. So, like...
But that's the thing, though, with the Comic-Con, there really isn't that much of a focus on comics anymore.
I was going to say...
It's a pop culture event. I mean, Peter Capaldi's going to be there this year. Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah.
Burt Ward. Felicia Day. Oh, my God.
I don't know how I feel about a Felicia Day. I like Felicia Day. I feel like...
I'll have enough of her for both of us.
She's very, very cool. She's very, very nice. I don't know too much about her outside of like she was in a few episodes of Supernatural. She did the Guild.
She was on Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
She was on Buffy. She was on
Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog.
She was really great in Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog.
I liked the Guild. That was my intro to Felicia Day.
Really?
And also, like, seeing another female nerd. I was just like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I wasn't talking about getting to know her, though.
I don't know. it seems like everything that she's been with has been written for her.
Mm-hmm.
Like Olivia Munn.
Yeah. I mean, did you ever watch Attack of the Show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when she first came on, it was so awkward. This is like a video game. You shut up. You know.
I mean, she got it. Like after like a year, she definitely got absorbed into the culture.
They
and then,
simply put her on for her looks on that particular show, but she worked at it, and that's what I respect. She did work at it.
And her and Kevin Pereira had the best chemistry, and it probably kept that show going for as long as it did.
Yeah, he was trying his best to do something, and she was just like, "Yeah, good boy."
No, man. I remember one episode where Attack of the Show was on G4, which was previously Tech TV.
Now it's Esquire
I
Network.
remember that.
They're not even on the air anymore. I feel so bad, but
There was like a lot of good television shows on G4.
yeah,
The
and it
video
was
game
really
reviews
funny
were
because
great.
you have like
Yeah,
you have
exactly.
a 5-hour block of cops, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was just like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Next.
And then Ninja Warrior, but
Yeah.
I remember when Kevin Pereira and Olivia Munn did a like 3-minute like handshake high five combo, and it was the funniest thing I ever saw. So like, yeah, she probably wasn't really ingrained to the nerd culture, but underneath, she is nerdy as fuck in her own way.
But she also dated Brett Ratner, so ew.
Dude, she dated the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers.
That's a step up. I mean, Brett Ratner,
yeah.
I mean,
I don't know who any of these.
he
people
directed
are.
Rush Hour. I mean,
Hey, Rush Hour was funny.
Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback for the is the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers, yeah.
Green Gay.
someone
Green
call a
Bay
doctor. Sterling's having a
Packers.
stroke.
But he's really great.
But
I
Ratner's
don't
like a slob. He's just like, come here, honey.
What? No, I think he broke up with her too. That's the other thing. But he, I don't know if you
He's
guys
just
have
gross.
ever experienced fantasy football, but I had him in one of his best years during fantasy football. Great experience. I was happy
That's what
watching.
Olivia Munn said too.
Yeah. Fantasy football actually got me to watch football more because it's like Dungeons and Dragons for sports. You know, it's like you put this team together of like your favorite players who are good, and it's like you go up against other people who have their pretend team of football players.
I think my only favorite thing when it comes to like football related things is just the memes that people come out with.
Oh,
with the football glitches that happen.
Yeah.
With the like Madden and all that stuff.
Oh, man.
man,
The
those are
game is still
funny.
fun. I love the Madden game. I still prefer the ESPN NFL 2K5.
Yeah.
But I just can't watch football anymore.
I had the hardest time with like NFL video games. Anything football or sports related.
yeah.
I worked
Yep.
at GameStop.
Well, that's
like,
the thing with me.
while-
I mean, I play that game and I put it on easy, so I'm usually winning the game
Yeah.
like 150-7.
I just get really salty about sports games because it's like, oh, okay, we're gonna take Madden, and we're gonna make one every year. How do you make a whole Madden game every year?
You don't.
It's
It's a
crazy.
roster update with some new improvements.
Yeah.
That's they're shining up something really nice.
Before EA got sued for college football, they had they would take a Madden game, so you'd have Madden 2010.
The engine.
Yeah. So the engine of Madden 2010 was then the engine for the college football game. So you take this engine, color it different, put different stadiums for the colleges,
And make the players worse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you have these college football players, and they're not going to output.
Well, it's like
at
my
the-
sister throwing a football, like
Yeah.
like that. And then
There's a lot more
fun.
fumbles. There's a lot more fumbles, and there's a lot more interceptions, and it's actually pretty fun. But you have this like retooling of the same engine to make a same game, and just calling it something else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I got super angry because I was like, you know what you could do? You could charge $2 for an update with new rosters.
Yep.
And
Well, I think
then
they're
like,
doing it now. I mean,
well, yeah, they still do that, but they still make a game every year.
Yeah, but I think it does have to get to a point to where they have to just like what they do with their mobile game.
Yeah.
The mobile game is updated every year with new features.
Yep.
You're not downloading a new game at all.
So that was the thing that I had an issue with, is like you can make a game every 4 years and retool it and make it different, which I'm okay with. And honestly, it's probably one of the best simulations for sports, because you watch interviews of football players and stuff, if you are into sports, and they play Madden or these games to simulate what to do, especially quarterbacks.
Well, you know something, brothers and sisters. This is Tim Jousmo, one of the hosts of Friends Talking Nerdy, and I want to lay the dirt on you. To be the king of the podcast world, guess what? You need friends. You can't do it alone. One of those friends I have to thank right now is Christopher Lazarek. Who is that, you may ask? When you start this wonderful show, at the very beginning, you hear his amazing theme song, the theme song to Friends Talking Nerdy. And guess what? Such a talented musician in his own right, guess what? He has an album. It's an EP, it's called Here's to You. It's available on all digital platforms, so we're talking iTunes, Apple Music, other stuff like that. Look for it digitally. He's out there. He also has a website, ChristopherLazarek.com. That's ChristopherLazarek.com, where you can get updates about any new music he produces, any concerts he may be putting. He also has his Instagram page up. I've heard him play before. He's an amazing musician. If you like this podcast, you will go out of your way to find his music and pay him. Pay him money. Show him your appreciation for making a theme song that is much, much, much better than this podcast deserves. Thank you very much.
Because you have the breakdown of offense and defense simulated out, and if you're playing as a quarterback, you pick a call, run the call, and then you read the call, and then it's a really great tool, maybe if you're injured, to keep fresh on plays and be aware of what your defense is doing and calling audibles and stuff like that. It's really cool that they do that. But for $59.99 every year for the same thing, and then a little bit of a retool, I just got so angry. I got so angry just listening to that.
Well, the WWE does that with their games as well. I mean, it's essentially the same engine every year, but they add on, like, you get new customizable features with your character. You get new rosters. You get new music.
I felt so bad, man, because a lot of people, like, when they had online, like, versus mode, and then you had these, like, custom creators, and people are, making characters who are dead or had, like, I'm spacing on his name. He killed himself and his family. Chris Benoit. I felt so bad because, people want to play as their favorite wrestler, and then, they're denouncing this wrestler.
I think in that case they have every reason.
Yeah, exactly. I absolutely understand that because I've followed the WWF into the WWE during that era, and Chris Benoit was one of the best wrestlers out there. He had the crippling crossface was his finisher move, and
kind of like cross between an armbar and a camel clutch. So
it's really hard to see stuff like that.
We're losing Ray here.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Professional wrestling was very close to me in a way.
I watched professional wrestling when I was a kid because it would come on late at night.
Yeah.
So I remember Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Chyna, all Lita.
That was the Hardy Boys.
Yeah, the Hardy Boys.
She would run around with the Hardy Boys, and
then
she was a wrestler.
Edge in real life, but that's
and
a different
Edge, and Jericho. What?
The Halls of Jericho.
Were Chris Jericho and Edge the same person?
No.
I love when he came to town though, because he had Jericho still wrestling on occasion, and he had this great.
He does a lot of announcing work now.
He does podcasts, but he has a band called Fozzy.
Yeah.
But he had this great bit where if anybody made him mad, and he goes, what? You know what happens to people who do that to me? You just made the list. And
He, like, yeah,
he has his clipboard out and he puts people's names
Yeah.
on.
You just made
But
the
I
list.
felt so bad, man, because he was such a great wrestler, but the way he passed away
Yeah, I
by
heard
taking
about
his
that.
own life and taking his family with him.
To
it was,
piggyback on that, though,
Yeah.
do they do that in the NFL games, though? For these people who, like, some of the players that, you know, are wife beaters and, like,
only one that's
killers or,
blackballed is O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
And the only, but actually, speaking of the NFL 2K5, the ESPN game, they lost the license to the NFL, but a couple years later, they did put out another football-related game, and they got permission to use legendary players, including O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
And one of O.J. Simpson's motions during the game was a throat slash.
Wow.
Ugh.
Wow.
That's...
Yeah, I
did
haven't
not
really
do it.
seen too many sports games like that, and with wrestling, professional wrestling, it's
Yeah.
it's a little bit different because it's for show, it's for like the cinema of it. One of the best jokes I ever heard about professional wrestling is it's like a daytime soap opera at night, and there's fighting.
It's a lot like that. It's also a lot like comic books as well. It's a
Yeah,
never-ending story between good and evil. Cast members get, shuffled around a lot. Some come, some go, some come back after years. It's a living comic book, a living soap opera, if you will.
Speaking of comic books and professional wrestling, there's a really great series right now, and I think they're only on the 3rd issue because it's from Oni Press, so it's the guy who does the work is just by himself, but it's called SPKO, Super Pro KO, and it is so good. It is so good because they have a lot of these throwbacks to older wrestling, and then they had the what was it? The New World Order, like we're edgy and we're gonna swear, and you're just like, what? No
The
way,
New
swear
World
words.
Order, when it first came out, was amazing.
Yeah. I remember seeing
Yeah.
Sting just like killing it, and like he
Well, not even
changed-
that. When Hogan did his heel turn, I mean,
Yeah.
became a bad guy. We're losing Ray again.
Yeah.
But it was something you never saw.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, if you have never really had too much exposure to professional wrestling,
I have with the cartoon Mucha Lucha.
hell yeah, fuck yeah, I love Mucha Lucha.
you got it's on Netflix.
It's a way of life.
Seasons 1 and 2. The 3rd season is finishing up on.
Wait, they have
on
Lucha
the- oh,
Lucha
right, no,
on-
No, Lucha Underground.
Lucha Underground. So it's professional wrestling, but it's Lucha Libre.
But it's more of it is Lucha Libre, but that show is kind of like a graphic novel based in the world of professional wrestling. People die. Like there was one episode I saw the other day where one of their guys, Cage, with a metal arm, punched a guy's head off.
nice.
Blood, brain
Yeah.
It's
matter
like Mortal
everywhere.
Kombat shit.
Yeah.
It's a show. You accept the fact that it is a show, and I think the fact that people know that wrestling is staged, you got to get to that point
It's
to where
still really impressive though.
for what they
because
can
it's
do in the
like-
ring. I mean,
yeah,
the
yeah,
athleticism is amazing, but you have to kind of work with people's understanding. I mean, I think people are more than willing to get themselves lost in the action if it's done right.
Yeah.
But when it's done like the WWE is currently doing it, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just
For the
meh.
level of stuff that they do, like going off of like ladders and backflips onto like tables and all that stuff, like it kind of has to be staged and it has to be a little for show. And like
I don't mind about that.
Yeah.
All I care about is just have that writing be good.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean, easier said than done. Especially, I mean, we both know in the world of comic books,
Yeah.
there are times to where your favorite writer, your favorite team will put out garbage.
Yeah.
It's just with the sheer amount of content they got to put out, it's not all going to be shiny gold. But when it's done right, my goodness.
When Jeff Johns left Green Lantern, I was so sad And I was like, I'll stick with it. It's so great.
You
like,
put on
I
Boyz II
love
Men.
the
It's
Green
so
Lantern.
hard to say.
I felt so bad, man, because like the art was amazing, but like reading the book, it just felt like it was so forced and it was so poorly written. It ruined the whole series for me.
Yeah.
It's rough, really, really rough, and really, really upsetting. Yeah. Speaking of things like ruining your entire experience, I mean, like, okay, then, like, we could segue back into what we were talking about before. What you enjoyed about something, and then, like, you know, people are, like, retconning it, and then, like, oh, you're ruining it, or you're making it something else that it's not. Like, yeah, I left Green Lantern. I left Green Lantern because it was bad. I caught it at the beginning of Jeff Johns' run with Rebirth, and, like, it was so good.
And like with comics, it's not a sequential story. There's not a beginning, there's not an end. You're really going for your favorite writers, your favorite artist, you know, in that particular block. And it's the same with wrestling. You can't go to, I'm going to watch episode 1 and binge watch everything.
Yeah.
No.
I got really selfish with Johns because he was doing so good for DC. He brought back The Flash. He brought back Green Lantern.
He's going to save their movie universe, though.
I hope so.
He
I guess he had a hand in the Green Lantern movie, but I don't know. Like,
I don't know about that, but I do know him and Joss Whedon are kind of co-chairing the DC movies from this moment forward. I think from the Justice League disaster on, it will be pretty much Joss and
I hope so.
Then Jeff Johns'
because
show.
Jeff Johns took very obscure characters and put them to the forefront of comics. He took The Flash, Barry Allen, made it great. He took Aquaman, and like it's Aquaman. No one likes Aquaman. And
Well,
no one. Well,
I mean that most of the women in the country.
Well,
Not after that Aquaman movie
Right?
comes out, though.
Right?
Oh my God, Jason Momoa.
the dude takes Aquaman and made him
Women's jaws everywhere.
awesome. Made him awesome. He made him just as strong as Superman.
Yep.
He doesn't talk to fish. He's like, yeah. But you know, he took like Deadman or Dove and Hawk. He made really great characters. Cool. And I mean, a lot of people are still pretty in the dark about Dove and Hawk, but they are being talked about. They're pushing DC forward, which is great. And to see something like Green Lantern, which took a lot of care and effort, and then just kind of handed off without maybe a little more training wheels, it just ruined it for me. I felt so bad.
Yeah.
I put so many paychecks towards Green Lantern. Oh man. Yeah.
Sorry. No. On that note, I think we need to wrap things up.
Oh man, we've been talking for a while.
Yeah, well, we got enough material for a couple episodes here, so
Cool.
I'm happy. So,
Yeah.
you got anything to plug, Ray?
I just I appreciate you joining us, Ray.
Yeah,
Because
for sure.
I mean, it's great to have a podcast talking about, you know, two dudes talking about what they like, but having
Because there's not enough of that.
Yeah, exactly. Super unique. It's great to have
White guys giving their opinions? Good.
Yeah, it's just great to see a fan's opinion, but I mean, just pointing out stuff that I probably wouldn't have thought about as a fan.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Anime and gaming, I'm pretty confident on speaking to.
Nice.
Comics and wrestling, nah, man. that's not my thing.
I'll handle that, and also
Yeah.
the bad relationships.
We
but that's a different story.
we get like WWE and NXT in here a lot. If we can go to an NXT show, those are so much fun. They're like
yeah.
NXT
$10,
is the best.
and like if you go, you'll have fun.
Well, Portland
Yeah.
used to be a major hub for, wrestling used to be regionalized. There was a big corporation, the National Wrestling Alliance, that essentially was a cartel for wrestling all across the country. And then regions like Portland had Portland Championship Wrestling that was run by Don Owen. You had people like Roddy Piper, who lived in Oregon until he passed away, get their start here. And in fact, I think the Portland Sports Arena is now a church.
Oh wow!
And the funny part is they had it set up, and it's still there. They had the bad guy dressing room and the good guy dressing room, but nobody realized it was just 2 doors leading to the same room.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, you know, wait a minute, you couldn't do that.
Yeah.
It's like after WrestleMania 3.
That was way before my time. That was way before
That
my
was
time.
my introduction to wrestling. Thank you very much. But at that time, after that event, Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the Iron Sheik were arrested for marijuana possession, and they got fired because Hacksaw was a good guy and the Iron Sheik was a bad guy.
Gotcha.
You know, and they could not coexist.
Oh, that's kind of like the Glow right now, the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling.
Oh, I love that show.
I watched that documentary and I also finished the show. That
Is it a documentary?
There was.
It's back on Netflix. That's the inspiration for the show.
Yep.
Oh,
It is
gotcha.
a good documentary.
Like Mount
Yeah.
Fiji was a great character in the documentary.
She's so adorable.
They had. It was like my first year moving to Portland, and they have like Design Week or something here.
Yeah.
And part of the Design Week, they did a lot of like work with this local professional wrestling team, and they had this thing called Battle Under Burnside, and $5 got you into the show, and all the beer you wanted. You just had to show them your little band, and you had unlimited beer.
That's
it was
a recipe
amazing.
for nothing
Oh,
bad
it was
happened.
great. So, I mean, you have these like random guys, nobody knows their name, but they're just having a great show, and then the whole thing turns into a Royal Rumble at the end, and then like everybody's just throwing chairs from the stands, and like it was awesome. And I was like 10 beers in, so like I had a great time.
Reminds me of this great story. Paul Heyman used to be a manager. Now he's the advocate for Brock Lesnar. But he told this great story about when he was first becoming a manager back in the late 80s. He would work in these southern towns, and then what he would do is just get everybody upset and just do what he could to make the crowd angrier and angrier. And then while he's doing that, he's also looking through the crowd and seeing, you know, who's out there, and he would look for the toughest looking guy.
Yeah.
Because what would happen, he would get to the crowd to the point to where they would go, you suck, and he goes, yeah, you know what, I do suck, and his mother taught me. Pointing to the tough guy.
Oh, wow.
And then they would go nuts.
Small little fun fact about the Burnside Bridge, where they actually had the show.
Mm-hmm.
There's a skate park right there where they actually did the show, and that skate park is in the original Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. It's,
Oh God! No.
yeah. So that skate park is the first level where you have to like score and get a medal.
Yep.
So that is the Burnside skate park in Tony Hawk Pro Skater. That was the coolest thing I ever saw, because I'm like, oh my god, that ball, oh my god, and it's like you're literally walking through a video game level, and it's still word for word, picture for picture, song for
Where's
song.
the crappy Green Day song?
Oh my god, it was
If you
so
wanna
cool
see
walking through there.
The progression of video games, just start at Tony Hawk like 1 and then
Yeah.
work your way up.
Jeez.
Oh my god.
American Wasteland was, I would say, the last decent one, because it was pretty open world, which
Yeah.
was cool. But it was just a blast from the past walking through that wrestling rink and then seeing that skate park. It was insane. Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
If your friend